Hi friends, welcome back to the Big Joy of Learning with Bijoy Ji. As discussed in our previous session, the area where data is entered in a sheet is the cell, and the data in the cell is referred to by a cell address. The cell address is usually a combination of the name of the column and the row number representing the cell. We use this address to refer to the data in one cell to another. We can use cell references in three different ways. 1. Relative reference, 2. Absolute reference, and 3. Mixed reference. Understanding the correct use of this is going to save a lot of productive time for you. Bookmark this video for future references and practice it thoroughly. By default, cell references are always a relative reference. When a cell reference is used as a relative reference, the cell address keeps changing in a relative fashion. Means, if we copy the reference across column, the column reference changes, and if we copy it down the rows, the row references change. Here, I am referring to cell C4. Now, when I copy it to the next column, the reference becomes D4, and if I am copying it to the next row, the reference becomes C5. This type of reference is called as the relative reference. We will see how we use it through an example. Before starting the example, let me show you another tool which can be very helpful for you. In the Tools menu under Autocomplete, there are few options that can be checked which will enable Google Sheets to help you in suggesting the formulas and correct format of the functions. Here we have a data sheet with rates of different items and the available discount percentage for each item. We need to find the discount amount and the discounted rate. You can see when I typed equal to, Google Sheets already suggested to me the formula that it thinks I need to input because I had kept the option for suggestions ticked in the menu. Just press tab to insert the formula instead of typing it full. Okay, now coming back to our topic of cell reference. Now you need to copy the formula down the cells. To copy it down, there are few different methods. You can copy the cell by pressing Ctrl C and paste it to the range by selecting the range and pressing Ctrl V. Or copy and paste through the edit menu or the right click quick menu. Instead, you can also pull the fill handle at the bottom of the cell down to the cells you need to paste the formula, or just double click on the fill handle to fill the formula automatically. The small dark square or the dark dot that appears in the bottom right corner of the cell is known as the fill handle. Now we will try the formula for the next column. Here Google Sheets suggests multiplication with the rates column, but we want a different formula here, so we will make the formula manually. We need to reduce the rate with the discount amount to get the discounted rate. Now let us copy it down. For making the reference absolute, just add a dollar sign before the column name and the row number. Or press F4 function key. When the cell reference is absolute, the address of the cells are not changed if you copy it to any location, across the columns or down the rows. We will see it with an example. Here we have a column for tax amount and the tax rate is in the cell on the top of the table. So we will multiply the amount with the tax rate. If we copy the formula without making the cell reference of the tax rate as absolute, the cell reference keep changing and the results will be wrong. So we will make the reference to absolute and try it. Now you can see all the cells pasted with the formula refer to one particular cell, I2 for the tax rate. This is how absolute reference works. Mixed reference is a mix of both relative and absolute reference. In this, either column or row is made fixed by adding dollar sign before it. Let us see both the scenarios. You can keep pressing F4 function key to change the reference to relative, absolute and mixed. When the dollar is in front of the column, the column reference is fixed, only the row reference keeps changing and vice versa. Here, when the $sign is in front of the column name, the column reference C has not changed even when we copied across the column or down the rows. When the $sign is in front of the row number, the row reference 4 has not changed even when we copied across the column or down the rows. An example will give you a better understanding. Here we have a data sheet with raw material details required for different capacity of production. First column shows the material code and the second column shows the material required with 100% production capacity. Now we need to arrive at the material required at different percentage capacity of productions: 30, 50, 60 and 80. We will multiply the 100% material quantity required with the other percentages to get the value. As you can see, with relative reference and absolute reference in the formulas, the result will be wrong. The row references of the percentages, which is 4, is fixed throughout the data. So, we will mark the $sign before the row for the percentage of production's reference cell and try to calculate. For the first column, the calculation has come correctly. If we copy and paste this formula across the columns, the reference for the material quantity keeps changing and the result will go wrong. So, we will make the column reference for the material as fixed by marking $ for the row for that reference. Now, when we copy this to other columns, the result arrived is correct. This type of reference is called as the mixed reference. As I mentioned earlier, understanding when and where to use the different types of references can help you save a lot of productive time. Keep practicing until you perfect it. This is Bijoy signing off for now. We will catch up with some helpful, interesting topics in our next session soon. If you feel the content of the video is useful to you, please do not forget to like, comment and share it with your friends and family. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do it now and press on the bell icon to get notified on new releases. Thank you for your time and have a big joy of learning.